Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. Hello, good morning, happy Wednesday. Today I wanted to talk about how humility and an open mind create soundness of mind. So I chose my words carefully there because what I learn in my program is that humility and an open mind restore us to sanity. And sanity is defined as soundness of mind. But the word sanity, to the statement implies that I am insane. And that doesn't go over well with a lot of people. But soundness of mind sounds lovely, doesn't it? So we're going to talk about how humility and an open mind can create peace. So the problem is that we've got a lot of mental noise. And that mental noise for me causes restlessness, irritability, and discontentment, which is, again, the words that are chosen from my program. So, what I learn in my program is how people that feel intellectually self-sufficient are often closed-minded to the program. And that intellectual self-sufficiency means that the person thinks that they can figure everything out alone. They don't need help. Just wording it that way, it seems wrong, right? It seems wrong. We need each other. I talk about that all the time here, that it's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my life is even though we grow up and learn how to be independent, that does not mean that we need to be self-sufficient. We need each other. We need to learn from each other. So yesterday I was posting my podcast on LinkedIn and I ran across a post from a gentleman that I follow. And I love this new project that he came up with. It's called Nobody's Side. And it's politically oriented. But the point is it too late for us to come together as one? So yesterday, the message was he's always posting a portion of an interview of somebody who's newly running for some sort of office, a political office. And he asks questions that are oriented towards this. Is it too late for us to come together? Kind of like as the human race, when we have this such a large gap between us politically. And there's been, yesterday it was referencing a lot of the hateful language that there seems to be. And honestly, in my opinion, it's on both sides. So in line with this project, I just love it. I love this guy's project, and it's even titled Nobody's Side. And I think he's really staying true to that. And I want to be on nobody's side. So it's like the absolute only politically oriented conversation that I'm willing to be a part of online. Otherwise, I say nothing, absolutely nothing. It's just not worth it. But I won't go down that long rabbit hole. So when I saw this post, I replied with reference to this gap between us, that this gap needs to be there. The gap between people, the differences between people, it may be uncomfortable, but it has to be there in order for us to learn from each other, to to be able to be humble. I mentioned that. We need to be humble enough to shut our mouths and listen without trying to think about what we're going to say next. And I said that that gap between us is supposed to make us better. We learn through similarities and differences. So being able to find that humility and open-mindedness is what creates the peace, the soundness of mind, the space where we can learn and make ourselves better as individuals, and um, and ultimately the human race. That's how we can get better as a human race, is to learn from each other. If we were meant to live alone and not come together, we wouldn't have these instincts to find a partner and so on. So it feels very much like everything that I've been encountering over the past few days has led me to this whole idea of humility and open-mindedness and patience. I talked about patience yesterday, and how these different things can lead us to soundness of mind. Um, I would I would equate soundness of mind to serenity. And no, I didn't look up the definition of serenity, but it feels to me like soundness of mind. I've defined, uh, I just forgot the word. Serenity. I've defined serenity as there's nothing wrong. For one moment in time, there's nothing wrong. But that's it, soundness of mind, which my program calls sanity. And I think that we can be sane, but still not have soundness of mind. So that's why I just struggle. I struggle with using the word sane. So humility is letting go of the idea that I know everything. Letting go of the idea that I don't have to know everything. Have you ever worked with someone where if you ask them a question, they will give you an answer, whether they know the actual answer or not, they will give you an answer. They will never like say, I don't know. And I've worked with a lot of people like that. And it takes humility to be able to say, I don't know. It's something that I've talked to my kids about as they started their careers. Like, it's okay to say, I don't know. It shifts our understanding, like our self-reliance from that to like it's okay to rely on something greater than yourself, honestly, because together we are greater than the individual. So humility, practicing humility helps me get there. It's really amazing how far I've come. Drinking made me feel so isolated, the more I got deeper into my alcoholism, the more that I felt like I had to find the solution on my own. But I wasn't looking for a solution. I wasn't trying to find I was just isolating myself, and the self-reliance got deeper, and that pressure on myself got stronger. So the being able to get humble, and if you are of the religious type, um, saying thy will be done like releases that need to control. So every night before I go to bed, I get down on my knees and I pray. And it's more of a gratitude experience for me. And it's like me reminding myself that I'm not alone and that I don't have to and I can't control people, places, and things. And I always end it with, thy will be done, not mine. And it's such a beautiful way of going to sleep. It's like, okay, here, take everything. I'm going to go to bed. You manage the world, God, while I go to bed. And it really does really release that pressure that I put on myself that builds up every day. Um, and it allows me to soften my mind in order to go to bed. Um, so open-mindedness seems related to me to humility, but I think it's different. It's like humility like releases a lot of that pressure, and then open-mindedness is like, okay, I'm ready to fill that space up now with perspective and curiosity. I'm gonna stop being defensive and feel like this false certainty that I walk around with. And I'm instead gonna open myself up to learning from other people, learning from the world and other people, the world around me and other people. Be open to, and those of you who are longtime listeners know that I'm like still trying to figure out my faith stuff, but being open to learning from a faith that I am cultivating, that I'm seeking. So, and then being able to adjust my life to allow for that faith to take root and see new perspectives on stuff that I have been, seen in my life for 51 years. My daughter and I were talking the other day, how old actually am I? She's always right, and I'm always 1 year behind what age I actually am, which is weird. But I stray. So open-mindedness is allowing for that curiosity to enter even in times when I'm dealing with something that I almost have built a habit of how to handle because I'm so used to it. Like, build some curiosity into that. So, open-mindedness, it reminds me of that statistic that I heard um, several times, which is like every day, like 80% of I don't know if that's the right number, but like 80% of our thoughts are the same thoughts we had the day before. Um, so if I become a little more open-minded, I can not stay stuck in that same thinking, that maybe I can generate new thoughts. Maybe I can have 75% of my thoughts be the same as yesterday. Doesn't that seem boring to have the same thoughts I had yesterday? Like I try to, I don't know, it just feels like a great opportunity to live better. So together, humility and an open mind um, removes that pressure. It creates the space to have perspective, curiosity, and the result of that for me has been emotional stability, which is something I have never known. Yes, I do take medication to help with my emotional stability, but I have lived the first half of my life with this restlessness, irritability, and discontentment. I think that's the word, discontentment. And that was really coming from my desire to control things that I could not control. Again, like I said yesterday, I can't control anything beyond my fingertips. I heard that once and I was like, that will stay with me for the rest of my life. Um, I I can only change what's within my fingertips. So what used to, and this is kind of weird, that's why I'm pausing a little bit, how to articulate that when I was drinking, I had self-centered thinking and realizing that I can only control what's within my fingertips. Um, it seems like we're being selfish. Like I've heard in the program that my sobriety program is a selfish program because we're working on ourselves, but it's different. It's not self-centered thinking in a intellectually self-reliant way. These are big words. I can't believe I'm not finishing my sentences. That is a successful morning. But I think I spoke too soon because I think my mind is about to empty here in a second and I'm going to forget what I was saying. But although I'm really working on what's between my ears, I am doing so in a way that I can add value in my life to other people's lives. If I can work on my humility and my open-mindedness and create that soundness of mind, if I can have acceptance of other people, willingness to do the next right thing and create that peace, then I am giving, right? I'm giving to the world around me rather than stealing from it. So I was thinking, like, at the end of, as I was taking notes this morning, I was thinking, well, where does patience fit in to all of this? Because I talked about patience, and I think that it very much, um, really, what's the word? It encompasses, I'm having a big word day. It patience encompasses the practice of humility and open-mindedness. Um, I'm I'm pausing when I'm practicing humility, I have to pause first. I'm listening without interrupting, like I talked about yesterday. I'm waiting without forcing outcomes. I'm trusting without understanding. That is practicing humility and open-mindedness. I'm allowing the world, I'm allowing life to unfold without me feeling like am making, I'm controlling the outcomes. So I think that as I have heard also, gosh, it's been several days that all of this is kind of pulling together. Sorry, I just have a sharp pain in my head. Nothing unusual. But faith is the bridge between all of that stuff. Um, Faith opens up that self-reliance. And when I was first introduced to steps 2 and 3 in my program, um, I had zero understanding of what I was doing. Like, I came to the program to manage my drinking, if I'm being completely honest. And what I've ended up with is stopping drinking and managing my life. That's what this program has allowed me to do. And what I try to do here is share about how that can be applied across the board to all the things that I deal with in my life, including my stroke and vestibular recovery. So faith is the bridge. Faith is what, and that's why it's step 2, because faith is what started to open my mind. And faith is what allowed me to start becoming humble. I'm not done becoming humble. I was just sharing this morning in my meeting how I'm such a judgy person, and I don't like that about myself. But as I work the program, I am learning how to recognize that I'm being judgy and say, oh, there you're doing it again. Practice humility and an open mind. Um, so I can come here and talk about it, but and I think that's important for me to come here and talk about it so I don't forget that that is one of my character defects, and it's something that needs to be worked on a daily basis. So coming full circle to getting on my knees before bed and saying, Thy will be done, not mine. All of this becomes a lived experience rather than me just saying it before I go to bed. Like I talked about on that LinkedIn post about the gap between us, that and how that gap needs to be there. Um, that gap, what's also important about that gap is to let it be there and recognize that we don't need immediate answers. And and that and that's where my mind went blank again. Oh, I love when that happens. Not. So, the other thing that, sorry, it's embarrassing, but I just keep going and try to just let go of any embarrassment because I feel like somehow it all ends up making sense even when I lose my train of thought. And I love that you forgive me for that. So, um, another thing that came up in my meeting this morning was about spirituality. And this is supposed to be not, spirituality is not supposed to be religions. This is what I learned in my program, and that it is separate from that. So, what I heard was that a lot of people, or what I've experienced actually, is that alcoholics tend to be more spiritual. Well, obviously, that's because our program teaches us about spirituality. But I was thinking that, and I shared this morning, that I feel like introducing spirituality to a recovering alcoholic is so much easier to have them latch on to it because I feel like part of the reason why I drank, I know I drank because I'm an alcoholic, but mentally, like the things that I was thinking while I was drinking was that the world wasn't enough. You know, that I just saw so much sadness in the world and I felt detached and I didn't feel like I always felt so depressed. I couldn't find the answers to my sadness, and it was just that deep restlessness or emptiness. And so being introduced in step 2 to faith, which is the religious side, also opened me up to this spirituality idea that there's more to the world than what I see. And that's introducing um trust and being able to be patient and wait for things to happen without feeling like I need to control them. You see, like it all is tied together, and I hope I'm doing all right articulating that, even in times of forgetting what I'm saying. But when it starts to weave this web of recovery, I can see that all of these tools allow me to live with reality and not escape from it. And that goes back to my alcoholism. But everybody has something that they do to escape. Um, whether it is going running, whether it's eating, drinking, drugs, there are healthy ways to escape. And that's what I'm learning how to do. But wouldn't it be nice if I practice these things, this open-mindedness, humility, faith, all of these things I've been talking about today, that I'm able to practice them so much that I don't need to escape as much. Um, when I try to be self-sufficient, that's what I need to escape from. I need to escape from between my ears. That is the problem for me. So, what I'm learning in my program is that connection is also escape. That when I need to escape, I don't necessarily need to escape from the world. I often need to just escape from Rachel's world, what's going on between my ears, thinking that I've got to figure this out alone. Um, and instead, reaching out and connecting to somebody else, becoming connected and teachable just by showing up and exposing myself to other people. I'm exposing myself to something greater than myself. Um, so all of this, and I'm really kind of relieved that I was able to get all of that out. That was very complex to try to talk through this morning, so that was good practice for me. But this allows for soundness of mind. Believing that I don't have all the answers, that's when I need to escape. When I'm trying to think through the answers, and instead being patient, open-minded, all the things that I'm talking about, learning how to pause, to listen, to learn, to trust. I don't have to know everything. That's humility. An open mind is being willing to learn, and together they create patience and faith and ultimately peace of mind. That soundness of mind. That was a lot. That was a lot, but it felt good. Thanks so much for showing up today for yourself and for me. And I will talk to you next time.